Friday the 13th, and my name is Dirk from algotrade24.com. Algo trading made simple. Now, time for our Friday update of what is going on the markets and what to expect in the following days. And boy, really has this been a week. I've really stretched that phrase quite a lot over the last, especially the last week, but things like this I've never experienced in my 20 plus years of trading the financial markets, being a trader, being especially an FX trader. The world is going crazy, in my opinion. Yesterday we saw the largest slumps since 30 years on the stock markets, double-digit losses in the Dow Jones, in the S&P 500, in the European indices. Now, as a German, of course, I'm looking a lot at the DAX too. Never seen something like this before. All the way down almost to 8,700. Now, you have to zoom out quite a bit already. Actually, my chart doesn't really zoom out because it only goes until 2014. So last time we were around this area was here in December 2014. So, and you gotta really put this information in context. This means the stock, this is like ignoring growth, and there has been substantial growth, economic growth in the past 6 years or past, let's say 5 years, because it was December down here, which the market completely ignores. I'll stretch it again. People really don't panic. This is the time to buy stocks. I have to say that this is not a financial advice. Yeah, you have to make up your own mind. Don't risk money you cannot lose. But these are really times, and no, this might not be the low yet, and it's always impossible to catch the low, obviously, when buying or selling. And but really, I mean, you get basically stocks now at the price they last were 5 years ago. Yeah, and if you look at companies, for example, like Alphabet, for those of you that don't know this, is like Google. It's not like Google, it is Google. You can get Alphabet, this is in euro now, at the moment around about €1,000 per share. High was in February around 1,400, so with a 40% discount at the moment. I'm not saying this is a bargain, I might be wrong obviously, but if I would have thought to invest in stocks now, this is really the time, in my opinion. But those are just my 2 cents on what's going on. Let's have a look at the news, what happened yesterday. Actually, one big news in my opinion only, and this probably caused a lot of the market slump. We had the ECB in Europe not cutting the interest rates. So the interest rate already at zero, or minus 0.5% for overnight bank deposits at the ECB, and everybody was actually expecting the ECB to cut those interest rates by 0.1% to minus 0.6%, which they didn't do. But they said they are going to buy more bonds to stabilize the market. And this was really interpreted as a very weak move by the ECB. Now, to put this a little bit into context, of course, when you have interest rates like we used to have in the States of like 2.25% or 2%, it's easier to cut interest rates down. The ECB has been really in emergency mode for a couple of years now. When you are at 0 or below 0% already, it's not so easy to cut those interest rates anymore. You really don't have so many things anymore, and so many tools anymore of things you can do to stimulate the economy, to calm the financial markets. And yeah, what we saw really was wild swings in euro dollar. If I remember correctly, in the early sessions we trended actually a bit higher. We went down all the way until 110.83. Now this morning trending a bit higher, and the way we want to play this actually today, we're going to try to catch a trade here. So we were a little bit too late already. This area around 111.60 was quite a good area to buy some euro dollar. So we can really play two scenarios here today. We can either try to buy around 111.60 today, or we can try to sell here around 112.34 all the way up to 112.80. Seems to be quite stable, but technical analyst in a scenario like this is only going to get you so far. So these are really just indications. My favorite setting today would actually be euro dollar going down here, placing maybe a buy order here, which I'm going to do now. That's, for half lot in this case, and for this order we can also already put a stop loss at, let's say, 111.35. I can even move this a bit higher. So we would buy here, we had the stop loss here. We're not risking so much, but we have the upside potential all the way up here to 112.34. So we are risking, what is this like? Let's see, we are risking like 20, let's say 22 pips, but our upside potential is like 40, 50 pips, 60 pips almost. So that's a good risk reward ratio for a trade like this. Now this of course doesn't have anything to do with algo, but in this type of markets there are rare chances that you should try to go into. Other than this, the dollar seems to stabilize quite by a lot already. So you remember this area around 105.50, 104.50 was an area where I preferred buying dollar against the yen. We like dove down almost to 100 there, but seems to be stabilizing a little bit here. Now what can happen today is, and that would be very, very typical for a market in kind of a emergency modus. We are, in my opinion, very likely to see something like the older the day gets, the wilder the trading will become. Because a lot of investors, especially a lot of short-term traders, probably don't want to go into the weekend with large positions, meaning they will try to liquidate their positions over the course of a day. And this is going to be interesting tonight because it's going to tell us a lot about the investors and in which direction the investors are at the moment invested. So if we see something like, for example, in the S&P 500, around, let's say, the last half hour of trading, the market going strongly down again, that would give us an indication that we are still in panic mode. Most investors are still invested long side. If we see something like the S&P going strongly up in the last half hour, that in my opinion would be a strong indication that really the crisis is about to be, I'm not saying over, but maybe we're like 75% through, and it seems like most market participants are speculating on the short side but don't want to go into the weekend with positions. So this is something you should really keep an eye on today. This is going to tell us a lot about what we should do next week on the markets. It's going to be interesting. The same you can probably see here in euro dollar. So I agree with, of course, I don't want to have positions going into the weekend. So let's see what the rest of the market thinks. I'm going to update you again on Monday. Let's all hope the weekend is going to be a quiet one with not so many or no bad news from Corona or borders closing or the economy is shutting down. So maybe we next week can see a week of normal trading again. Until then, please stay safe. Please watch your trading. Please don't take any unnecessary risk. Don't risk any more money than you can afford to lose. Wish you all the best of luck and see you again on Monday.